All right, what's going on, everybody? It is your channel host, Dr. Slash, and today we have a special guest here to talk about many of his works, a ton of which we cover on this channel, and that is Philip Kennedy Johnson. If you want to say what's up,
What's up, brother?
yeah, man, this is a big time with you coming on the channel, giving your Superman story. First issue just dropped.
Yeah.
As well as Infernal Hulk. Now we're gonna touch on both of those, plus one of my favorite recent stories by you. But we're gonna start with this Superman story, just because I've had a question that's been really prominent in my community about it. Um,
Oh, great.
a- as you know, Superman's always got a ton of storylines going on.
Wow.
In terms of DC, is just constantly putting out Superman, Batman stories. So as the reader with your story, in terms of the timeline of DC, when's it take place?
Well, when it kicks off in issue one, it's modern continuity. It's like present continuity, but it also ties in a lot with the cast that I introduced in Future State. There's a story that I did called House of L
Yes,
that takes
that
place
was a
rough.
very popular story in my
Yeah.
community when it
Thanks.
came out. So
Oh,
it's
I'm glad to
been,
hear that.
yeah, that's kind of where the questions have come, because I believe there's a little bit of delay with this drop. Is that true? Was it this story that kind of got delayed in getting dropped,
Yeah.
or?
There was a ton of Superman content coming out this year, obviously, and there was we agreed last year to push it back until just after the movie, to
Hmm.
be like towards the very end of the summer of Superman, and that's what we were assuming we would do. And but there had been a previous plan to put it out around April, I think, but that was a hell of a long time ago. But then I don't know, somebody miscommunicated in house, and they put they put Book of L, Adventures of Superman Book of L showed up on the solicits for like March or something. And I saw that. I saw that with everyone else. I was like, "What the fuck is this? Like, are we late? I thought it was coming out in September." And then, like, as soon as it dropped, somebody realized they made a mistake and they pulled it. And I was like, "Well, I guess we just announced." So yeah, Book of L coming out later this year, and it was just weird. So we announced that book like three times. Um,
Yeah,
but
yeah, it's a.
anyway,
I've gotten the same question multiple times, and then it finally dropped. So, but I mean, I'm glad I could clarify the timeline one, just because that was a one of the bigger questions, as well as discussing Olgren, right? The concept
yeah,
of Olgren. So when you got a big bad like that, especially something like an elder god in house, how does that work, right? Like when you go to editorial, wherever, whoever you talk to about the stories, you're like, hey, I've got this big dog I'm introducing. How does that introduction process work?
um, well, God, man, that's such a the answer to that is such a long one. So are you familiar with 5G? Do you know what that was going to be?
Uh, Fill the audience in real quick.
All right, so okay, so there was going to be this thing back when Dan DiDio was still kind of in charge of DC Comics. Um, there was this plan to do a thing called 5G, and it was going to change. I mean, if you remember the New 52, where DC went all number ones all the same month, all at once, that was a huge, like, it just changed a lot of shit all at once, right?
Yeah.
And this thing that was coming called 5G was going to do it was going to be an even bigger swing than that, where it was going to basically fix the timeline in place. So best way I can explain that is, so Superman first showed up in like 1938 or whatever, and he's been roughly the same age that whole time, and we just don't question it. Like, the story takes place, he's always that age or whatever, the stories we're reading are always happening in the present, and there's not really any question of the passage of time. 5G would have changed that, in which there's now a fixed year in which Wonder Woman appears, a fixed year in which the Justice Society begins, a fixed year in which the Kents um, find Clark, and the Waynes are killed, and Justice League form. Like, it's all like, if you see Batman at age 21, Bruce Wayne's Batman. It is, 1984 or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, it was a huge change. So they approached me about. I had just done a book called The Last God at a DC Black Label, and it's now on the shelves as the Fellspire Chronicles Book One. And there's just tons of world building in that story. Um, and when it impressed some people. Like they noticed how much back matter I put into that book and how much backstory there was and lore that I built just to make the comic good. And when they were fleshing out this whole new universe, they were like, "We kind of want you to show run the cosmic stuff." And I was going to be doing a book called Warworlds, plural, and there was going to be a Mongol book as well. And I was gonna make this very different kind of Mongol than we had before. Um, there was going to be another book called I, Leviathan. I was really excited about. Um, anyway, a lot of cool shit happening. There's some really cool big swings happening as a part of that whole initiative. Um, and eventually that all kind of went away. We ended up not doing any of it, and we took a different direction going forward. But there were so many cool ideas that came out of that time. We still wanted to make a lot of them, including the Warworld stuff. So we still wanted Jonathan Kent to be the Superman of Earth for a bit, and we still wanted to see Superman off world doing other things. And they asked me if I wanted to take over Superman and Action Comics after Bendis stepped away. And obviously I said yes. And I had been building all this lore in which, um, you know, it, this all this backstory about where the war worlds came from. Like, we only know about one of them, but there are others out there, and each one is a different aspect of this one god that was pulled apart, like Kronos in Greek mythology, kind of. I mean, that's different. Like he was like, chopped up and
Yeah.
killed
Yeah.
and whatever. But it's essentially this like the god of gods from the first world to Kirby's fourth world that was um you can't kill something like that, but he was pulled apart, and each different aspect of Aldrin would be a different aspect of creation, and they just spread them all across the universe, and from each one of those pieces like a world grew, and
Got
the
you.
idea
Got you.
the idea being like seven, it takes seven worlds to create to make up a god, like how big those things are. So that was kind of the mythology that was at the heart of the idea behind the War Worlds series that never came to pass, but I knew that I still wanted to explore that idea. So when I took over Superman in Action, Um, I was only on Superman for a little while. It was just to set up Tom Taylor's book with Jonathan Kent. Um, so I just kind of folded it into my Warworld saga thing that I was doing. But Olgren was always going to be at the heart of that thing. I like the idea of establishing that. Man, I never liked how Warworld was treated before. I always just seemed like this big Death Star ripoff. It's just a big metal ball with guns sticking out of it, and it just wasn't good enough. I
Yeah,
just
it's
wanted to
more a
see it.
weapon than anything else. Like
Yeah.
my one of my favorite moments with it was I thought so. New 50. Speaking on New 52, I'm a big New 52 Sinestro run guy, and
Sure.
he they made it so crucial how important Warworld was in that story. Just
Mhm.
like Sinestro's like, look, if we get this, I can put Parallax here. I can do a bunch of crazy shit. So I always felt that like Mongol, and we kind of talked about it in the first interview. He never really got his respect, and a lot of times, especially
Yeah, yeah.
in conversations with big bads. So seeing all that tie-in was really interesting. Now, this story, I don't know if you're following like with that absolute stories going on right now and DCKO events coming out. Um,
Uh,
how's your story line up with that? That's what makes it hard sometimes with a bunch of Superman stories and a bunch of Batman stories. Is like, is that before that event? Is that
Um, it doesn't really it doesn't really tie into it at all. The story that at the very beginning that sets up Superman with his family and all that, that is just modern continuity. It doesn't really have anything to do with DCKO.
got you,
And
got you?
as far as everything that follows, the way I've been pitching the story to people is kind of explaining what it is. It's Action Comics meets Samurai Jack, if that
Mm.
makes it clear. So
Oh yeah,
most
that's
of it,
badass.
it takes place in a future in which Krillux has become this thing called the Promethean King, and he is now the guy that runs shit, and he is like he has a couple of the god aspects of Ulgrin now. There are others. He's trying to get them all. It because like there's this whole war happening between different worlds in the future, and Superman has been gone for all of it, and then he appears, and it's he has to find his way back to his family. So it's like this 1,000-year quest to get back to his family in the midst of this universe that in which Krillux, the Promethean King, has been wrecking shop.
Yeah, that's a big bad a lot of people are looking forward to because you've kind of you've been popping out big bads left and right recently in the comic book
Yeah,
landscape. Like we can kind of expect you to be at this point comfortable with like pulling out a new big bad for us to see. So like watching that development's been kind of big for the community.
well,
And
good man. I'm glad.
I want to ask about
Yeah,
so
I'm excited for Algren. I really am. Like he's. I mean, we kind of saw we saw Superman fight this big like stone titan thing in a Warworld saga, and that thing was just like a memorial to Algren. It wasn't Algren himself. Like we've seen, and we saw him. We saw like the hands of one of the seven aspects ripping their way into this dimension in Green Lantern War Journal. So when we get to see the real thing, man, God, it's gonna be cool.
yeah, it's a God, it's kind of like the Mother of Horrors build up. We're getting so much closer to seeing her on screen. Like
Yeah, dude.
we've been waiting for that for a long time. It's the build up has been fantastic, and there's this big movement by Marvel and DC that they're doing crossovers. They've been pushing
Uh-huh.
out a lot of the covers recently. And so I wanted to just a fun idea. I wanted to run this by you. Like if they came to you and said, "Hey, we want to give you a story um in this upcoming Marvel DC event," we kind of as a community we talked about what we think you'd be best. And so I wanted to hear your take on this. We thought you would do amazing with a Man Thing Swamp Thing crossover.
Hmm.
How would you approach that? Would that be a story that interests you if that was like put on your desk? What do you think of that?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I would absolutely not say no to that. Um the problem with that thing is that one is just like a rip off of the other in such an obvious way.
Yeah,
Like it's like
yeah,
like it's almost like when we started thinking about Marvel v Alien stuff, like when the aliens come into the Marvel universe. But I mean, now of course now we're doing it, but before all that started happening, before Alien and Avengers, the question was like, okay, well, what about the Brood? Like, are we gonna wrap the Brood up as part of the excuse why we're doing it? Like, as maybe is that part of their origin in the Marvel universe, or are um are we gonna see aliens versus the Brood? Or are we gonna pretend like the Brood aren't around for the duration of the story? Like, how are we gonna handle it? That would be tricky just because they're so similar visually. But man, it would be neat. I don't know. I don't hate the idea. I would have to really give it some thought. I'll tell you that the challenge to using Man Thing in the context of our Hulk story is that he's kind of fixed in place. Like he's the guardian of this very specific
yeah,
place, right?
absolutely. He's the protector of the Nexus. That's why for the nerds in our community, that was a big moment because there's certain we call it wrestling term jobbers, measuring tape, whatever you want to call it, but certain characters represent a certain tier in the verse. And when
Mhm.
you get Man Thing saying, "Hey, they're threatening my shit," we immediately know what they're talking about. They're talking about the nexus of all realities. That's
Yep.
literally all realities, and it's just something where we're like, "Oh shit, yeah, Hulk's playing on a bigger battlefield right now."
What I think we would do if we were doing a Man Thing versus Swamp Thing, I think I would have to kind of go back to what they did in the Lemire stuff. Or say, I guess it was Scott Snyder, wasn't it? Like Jeff Lemire and Scott Snyder kind of did their Animal Man slash Swamp Thing stuff in DC,
Yes,
but
yeah,
they established that there are different iterations of Swamp Thing, right? There's like the Guardian of the Green or whatever he is, Avatar of the Green.
yes.
Um, I would try to find a way to tie those two mythos together. Like how how does the nexus of realities relate to the green? Like is Man Thing another avatar of Swamp Thing from a different? Like, I feel like I would have to make it so that Man Thing is himself an avatar. Like somehow there was a divergence at some point in the back in the day, and there's this different iteration of the Nexus that is the green in this other world. And they're so similar. I'd have to try to tie them into one mythology. I think that would be a fun way to go about it, and just
Yeah,
show
the,
how differently they landed after however many years of like dogma evolution.
yeah, it's funny because they go from like, man, I remember when I read the OG runs for for Swamp Thing, and he was getting his ass beat by like regular cars, and then he goes on to become work for the
Right? Yeah.
Parliament, and he's just thrashing dimensions, fighting Etrigan. And you're like, what the hell? So it
Right.
would
Yeah.
be you can kind of they're both wonky in that way. Like DeMatteis did that crazy Divine Creator run with Man Thing, so it's like, man, you could really go wherever with that. Now, if you kind of were approached with hey, what two characters would you cross over for this event they're doing? What would you like volunteer as a crossover?
Oh man. Well, there's two that I would have volunteered, and at least, well, God, I mean, there's so many you can do, but um, my first thought was Superman Hulk.
Mm,
I think there's a really fun way you could do that, and I feel like if they're going to give that to anybody, it's got to be me. Like
gotta be you. Yeah, dude, it
yeah,
would be so spicy at this in the context of who's been writing both at this
yeah,
current
yeah.
point.
If
Oh
they were to
man.
come, if they were to take that to anybody else, I'd kick the fucking door in and be like, "Are you kidding me?" Like I'd throw a legit fit if they try to get it to me. I was like, "This is my book." Like I demand trial by combat. Like this book is mine. Um, so I would do that in a heartbeat. That would be really fun. Another one though, I didn't know about um, Constantine, Doctor Strange, and I've been talking about that though. Like I've talked about that premise on podcast, and when they announced that one, I was like, did I did I pitch you assholes that what I was going to do? Did you steal my story? I don't think that's what happened, but I know those guys that are writing this thing. I was like, man, yeah, like it was supposed to be my book. I really wanted to do Constantine. I think it would be really fun to do Constantine Strange because I think they would have such disdain for each other. I mean, like
Oh,
Doctor
I tell people
Strange
that
is,
all the time. They're completely opposite because one of the more popular battles in the community is like, oh, do Doctor Strange and Constantine, or what if they interacted? I'm like, dude, Strange would hate him. Like Strange has
they
his
hate
own
each other.
ego, but
Yeah,
Constantine's a
yeah,
different kind of brash, and
totally. Yeah,
Strange is a bigger
Strange.
dickhead than people know.
Oh my God, Doctor Strange is such an egomaniac. Like he is so he just has that hubris, and he just knows he's the man, and he's the style, the way that he approaches magic is so visual and flashy and like theatrical almost. Like it's like these all these big circles in the air, and like he's in the cosmic realm, and it's all so trippy and big and flashy. And Constantine just has such disdain for magicians of any kind. Like I mean, he's kind of it's this world that he at one point was fascinated in, but it all went wrong, and he's like, yeah, he just has such disdain for magic and for magicians, and he has this great talent for it, but he prefers to get out of problems or solve, get through stuff with just like sleight of hand or just like conning people. He's basically like just this con man from Liverpool.
Yeah,
So
it would be a funny dynamic in the sense of I think people would kind of realize more of Strange's personality, like it'd bring more of his personality out in the conflict.
yeah,
Like when in Blood Hunt, one of my favorite moments is when Blade goes to him because he's like, Strange, do you have something for this? He's like, yeah, I'm about to genocide the vampires. And Blade's like, you would do the whole population like that? He's like, of course I would. You get rid of the arm to save the body. And Blade was
right.
like, yeah, that's why I came to you because you're the only guy with like the ego and confidence to try this. And it's
Yeah.
that's just who he is. That's why I've always loved his character. they did tone it down a bit in the modern times, but yeah, he's always. I don't. I would be curious to see how that works because they're so much different. But I mean, they announced Batman, Deadpool, so those two are a lot
Right.
different. So there's going to be weird dynamics anyway. Um,
Yeah, I'm super curious to see how Grant handles that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, man, damn. The
we need
yeah,
that Superman Hulk.
um,
We need that. We need
yeah,
that from you.
that's got to be me. I mean, I saw
Would you be willing to answer that age old question? Who would win? Would you be willing to do that in that crossover?
man. I feel like we have to, don't we? I mean,
Yeah.
it was.
Oh man.
I mean, there's an answer, but I really hate to just like completely piss off like half of these because I mean, Hulk fans love Hulk just as much as Superman fans love Superman, and to pick a side would be so hurtful. But
It's like Batman. It's like on a serious note, that's right up there with like Batman, Spider Man. Like no matter who I pick, or Batman, Captain America too. Like no matter who I pick, one side's gonna condemn you for it. But to have the power to do it in the official media would be that's like
you
the
know
opportunity of a lifetime.
the yeah. I mean, there's an answer, but I know what that answer is, but it's also a question of like you're having to work. These books are a conversation between like corporations with the creators in the center, and one side is not going to let me punk the other or
Yeah,
punk their side.
that's a big thing. We actually had someone on the channel before that straight up said like, yeah, there's a certain protocol with, like for instance, Doctor Doom. Like you can't do certain shit to Doctor Doom because of who he is. That just ruins the mystique of a cornerstone of the company. It's kind of like when
Yeah, I mean,
Godzilla sends him out, or the creators send Godzilla out. There's certain things you can't do with him.
so issue 25, Hulk versus Thor. There was a point at which there was a very decisive winner in that fight, and that ended up being kind of a tug of war between offices at Marvel. But like, nope, can't do this. This is can't. Yeah, it was just unkind to one of those two characters, and in a way that was not kosher. So we had to kind of readdress it. Um, so that's just kind of how those things go, and it makes sense, like it really does.
Oh man,
So
that's crazy you say that because one of my big questions from the community was so you're someone who, and we'll kind of use this to jump in the next question leading into Hulk. But you're someone who hasn't been afraid to tackle heavyweight battles. Like I'm talking matchups that literally matter on the grand scheme for either Marvel or DC.
mhm.
And when you have to undertake something like that in the story where it's like a hey, the one above all is about to be involved. How does that happen? Like what do you have to tell them like hey, we're involving these cosmic beings, these because a lot of these beings are touched on in other stories right now, or they represent a hierarchy for other stories. So how does that work?
Well, usually, honestly, they're pretty supportive. If you want to take big swings, they support that. The problem, well, okay, I've seen other people tackle stuff like that in a way that is destructive. Um,
Hmm.
that okay, like say they want to destroy a literal planet for the sake of a really awesome visual or beat. Like it's going to make this it's going to make this issue so cool or whatever. Like so, let's blow up a planet, and like an established planet with established characters or established races. Like we're just going to wipe it off the map. Like okay, well, what? I mean, what value do we get from that? Like, why would we ever say yes? You can destroy these toys in the toy box that people recognize and will miss. It's not necessarily a hard no every time. If you've got the trust as a creator with those people, if they're like, okay, I want to kill Mary Jane Watson or whoever, it's not, you can't just walk into Marvel and do something like that. If you're going to kill somebody like Mary Jane, this okay. To my knowledge, that's not happening. So don't freak out. Like I'm just
Yeah, it's
saying,
a great example
if
though. It
yeah,
really
if you're
is.
going to walk in and take somebody who like matters and be like, we're going to kill them, and they're like, why would we do that? Like, there has to be such value in it. You have to kind of make a really strong pitch. I'll say this: I'm going to be taking on a big new book, probably this time next year, um, and there is going to be a death, and it's.
Mm.
But I had to like earn it, Like I had to kind of make my pitch. This is what we're going to do. This is why it's going to matter. This is why what we're getting is more important than what we're losing here. You have to make a pitch to make sure that it's worthwhile.
And it
Um,
might be a hot take to some, but I think deaths are important, man. Like I preach all the time. I think one of the biggest misses in Marvel history, and it's a credit to how powerful the moment was. It's just great writing. But I always felt, and I get why he didn't, but I felt like Human Torch should have stayed dead in the his sacrifice he made to save the team against the Annihilation Wave. That
yeah,
moment was like a top 10. Like, man, that's a character defining moment. Like, that's a way you go out. And
and
obviously, he came back, but
yeah. I mean, it was powerful, but I mean, yeah. It's like, what do you
how do you kill Johnny?
when
I
there's
get it.
when there's a team that's so iconic, like ask anyone who the Trinity is at DC, and the answer is going to be Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, and everyone's going to know their names. If they had legit broken Batman's back in the '90s, and Jean Paul Valley had become Batman forever until he got killed, like I don't know, it's just kind of like diluting the brand. Like everyone in the world knows Bruce Wayne is Batman and what happened to get him there. And if you like, no, actually, if you're actually 10 years behind in your canon, it's actually this guy now, and his origin's completely different. And now, he's not in Gotham anymore. He's in Baltimore or whatever. It's like if you make these big changes, it just nobody knows the brand anymore. So they're protecting their brand, and I get that. So I think killing someone like Johnny Storm, man, that would be, I don't know, it would be a real problem to solve. Like how do you maintain the strength of the brand of Fantastic Four if nobody knows who those four people are at any given time? Now, of course, there's moments where the lineup changes, but I don't think anyone really believes that those changes are permanent. Like those are really cool big swings that happen briefly and then come back to the familiar. I don't know, man. Comics are funny that way. It's all about the illusion of change. There has to be the impression of massive changes, but if I mean, we're taking one right now in Hulk, man. Like I mean, the Infernal Hulk thing is the biggest change to his status quo ever. I maintain that. Like I know that there's been, if you go back to like through his
Oh,
history,
for sure, for sure. Just
there's been
from
other
the
times, man.
reception, just like I can speak for the community, like in terms of reception, everyone, I told you this before the recording, like everybody has an opinion on this right now, whether they're saying, oh dude, how can you do this to the history of Hulk, like you're changing stuff, you're adding stuff, or it's people saying, yes, that since chapter 1 this is the shit we were looking for. So it's my only confusion in the reaction comes from
Uh huh.
the surprise, because I talked to you very early on in this run,
Uh huh.
and I felt it was very so. I thought it was clear eldest remembrances are recollections, yes, but they're never going to be perfect. Like they're literally remembrances from a perspective, which makes it a really fun. It's a fun storytelling notion in the sense of like Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, when the storytelling perspective was his perspective, and then we see the truth, we see the true reality of everything. That's kind
Uh
of how
huh.
I felt some of what eldest stuff was, but the status quo change was very obvious since the literal like first few chapters. So I was kind of shocked that people were so surprised by this. Like there was
Uh huh.
clearly, if Toba what was created due to these circumstances, we were obviously going to see something of a grand scale.
Yeah. 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 So one misconception that I want to clear up here, like there are people who seem to think that Infernal is like people are calling it a relaunch, like we're wrapping up the story that we're doing and we're kicking off a new one with number one. That I just want to tell everyone that's not happening. Like it's everything
There's a
that we've been
clear
doing.
part two, a follow
Yeah,
up to like the
I'm glad to
condition
hear
of
that. Yeah, I
yeah.
thought that was clear. I was surprised how often I was
So
hearing
I'll
people
tell
saying
you the
a relaunch
biggest.
or a reboot.
I'll tell you the biggest argument right now. This was like, and I saw you answer this like in a text response, so I guess you could just
Uh,
verbalize it here. The
sure.
biggest argument that came from this was a huge moment we covered on the channel, the brother Teep battle. And
Uh-huh.
there's that moment when this is one of my favorite fights. So the build up to it when the cult members are like, "Hey, you don't get it. Those green eyes, are what we saw when they burned the brother deep. Like that's the same shit we saw." And what confused people with that was it seemed like in the recent issue it was written that the brother deep battle occurred and then the wound occurred after that. So that confused some people in the community like, okay, is this like a self retcon? I'll give
Oh,
you
I
my
see what you mean.
I'll give you my personal take.
Uh-huh.
I feel I've always thought it was a fun idea that Toa, especially when you introduce this, Toa kind of represents the idea that if you're all good but you're omnipotent, you also got to be all bad. Like that's just got to be an aspect of you. So I felt maybe that corruption, that green, was already inside him, and perhaps that wound was just the Mother of Horrors exposing that, not necessarily instilling it in that moment. Um, I don't know. That was kind of my headcanon in the moment. But if you want to explain the Brother Deep, how that battle lines up with when the wound occurs. Um, and we first see the green and whatnot. If you could clarify that in any way.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Do you play From Software games at all?
Yes.
All right. Are you familiar with Elden Ring?
Yes.
Okay. So do you have your own headcanon for the events that led to the shattering and everything after that and all that? Like, are you, have you kind of filled in the blanks that are unanswered in the game with your own opinions?
To be honest with you, I got my ass beat on Elden Ring, and I'm a comic guy, so I said, "Fuck this! I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna go read some Hulk
It is
comics."
hard.
But
No, I get that.
but I get the concept of what you're saying in terms of like you fill in the gaps with your
Yeah, yeah. I kind of like the mystery. I mean, I'll tell you. I mean, I can give you a couple of different interpretations. Here, okay. Here's the truth as I perceive it.
If you want us to interpret it, that's great. How what's the lens we should interpret it through? I guess would be my
Well,
question.
here's the
Like
thing. Like every comic, whenever like Hulk in Infernal Hulk or Incredible Hulk or Immortal Hulk, whenever we're answering these big questions about lore and like Old Testament type shit, whenever this stuff comes up, it is meant we're talking about things that happened between gods and avatars and like immortal concepts that are they don't just walk around with two arms and two legs and talk with voices like we do. They don't live days that last 24 hours,
yeah.
and it's all being expressed in ways in which our puny mortal brains can receive. So when something is being expressed as like the mother of horrors was this person and she was just born, she didn't have a mother, and the one above all made everything else, and this is the one thing that was made from something different, and she made her own thing as a mockery of the one above all, and he looks like this, and then the one above all got really pissed and his eyes flashed green. These are all concepts being expressed in very mortal two arm two leg kind of ways, if that makes sense. Like it's a thing, if we were to actually see what actually happened between gods billions of years ago, um we wouldn't be able to comprehend it.
Yeah, it's not
So,
new to Marvel either. Like there's the famous I don't know if you'd say famous, but there's the moment when in the classic era when Strange witnessed Eternity and Dormammu fighting and he fucking passed out because he's like, I can't even
exactly, it's like I don't get
conceptualize
it.
what's going on.
Yeah,
He's like, I don't know what's
that's
going on. I'm
like
gonna go to sleep.
that is the actual truth of it, is that these are being expressed in words that we can comprehend, but what actually happened would have been such a crazy cosmic scale that we just can't receive it, you know.
Yeah, and
So
it's and I'll tell you another reason that shit set everything on fire. So before, like literally a week before you dropped that issue, I did uh people ask me all the time, give us your top 10 strongest characters in Marvel. So I dropped my top 10 list, and
uh
no bullshit, the start of the video I go, okay, I got this bitch mother of horrors. I can't tell you where she scales. I was like, she might be number 10, she might be 12, she might be number 2. We're probably gonna find out in a month, but we don't know right now. And then literally a week later after I say that, we see we see she did some of the craziest shit ever seen in comic book history. I'm like, oh great, like I should have fucking waited a week. But
man, well,
yeah,
dude, if you so wait till yeah, shit. I want to answer all your questions, but I also don't want to spoil what we learn in issue 29, because like the second half of that remembrance is in the next issue.
okay, don't
Um,
spoil it. The fact that we know
no, I
that
won't.
is great enough. Like that's the fact that we get the second part. Because oh man, so I will ask you this: are you following the Haddad shit going on?
No.
Oh, so okay, so just to give you a brief fill in, this is why it's like a big deal right now with Mother of Horrors.
Oh
There's
wait, are you
another
talking
villain.
about the storm stuff?
Yeah, yeah, the Storm villain.
Okay. I was aware of that all coming together back when it was being like pitched and outlined and all that. I'm not up on the current issues. There's kind of this joke within the comics community, like, if you're making comics, you don't have time to read comics. Like not everybody there are just so many
No,
books. Like
that's it's the same thing with YouTube content. Like people ask me,
I'm sure.
obviously
I'm
I'm not the only comic book YouTuber, and people for unfortunately assume I know every other comic book YouTuber. They'll be like, "Did you watch this guy's take?" And I'm like, "No." They're like, "Oh, you
right.
don't support other people?" It's like, "What do you mean? I just spent 4 hours making my own video. I
Right,
I don't
exactly.
have time." Yeah.
That is exactly the same. It's exactly the same. Yeah, so there's just so many books coming out all the time, and everyone assumes that everyone's up on everyone else's shit, and this is not the case. Um I mean, there are editors that help kind of steer people around. Like sometimes I'll put something in a script and they'll be like, "Yo, you should refer to what's happening in this book. Make sure that it doesn't step on anyone's toes," or "We should check in with so and so," or the editors will talk between themselves about making sure the storylines, support each other and don't conflict. And right, I'll do the same thing. So like New Avengers, right? Sam Humphries. He wanted to use Hulk in that story, and my editor. I hope nobody gets pissed at me telling these stories. My editor was like, "We got to tell him no, right?" And I was like, "Well, I don't know. Let's see." And he's like, "Well, how's it going to possibly work?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know, but let's just talk. Like, I don't want to just.
Are you
He's
talking?
one
Oh,
of
you
my
want to talk
close.
about some shit that made my life difficult when fucking your Hulk got tased? And in broad day, when that really, so they dropped like a teaser of Fractured Sun getting tased and like stunned in another run. I'm like, oh god.
What?
Um, yeah, yeah, he gets taken down by like Black Widow's taser,
Yeah,
and
dude. Okay.
everyone, every it's so funny because everybody's like, yo. What? How do you explain this? And I said, look, I literally, it's so crazy because we had this conversation before over text. When I texted you and I was like, hey, your character, and this is actually a big question from fans. So and it's obviously just been answered. But like you're working on the most important Hulk material right now for current Hulk. Um, but he can be used in other runs.
Right.
Do you just kind of gotta bite down on your mouthpiece and hope they don't do anything crazy?
Yeah.
And
I
just
mean,
continue with your shit.
okay. So I obviously got surprised just now with that tasing thing. I didn't know about that, but I
That
see
was a rough day at the
that
office for
should have
me, man.
that should have been a conversation, and we could, if they wanted to do something like that, there are ways we could have done it. Like there's a thing in issue 26 where Bucky shows up, that basically to inform Banner that other gamma mutates are being kidnapped, like, or are going missing, and he basically goes out to the woods to find him, to just inform him that that's going on, and ask for his help, kind of. And he brings this thing that creates what is essentially a field in which time moves at a slower rate. So he blows up this thing. It's like a claymore that that Hulk steps on, and then he's in this
Yeah, we
time
actually
disruption
just did
field.
we did a big breakdown of that moment.
Oh, cool.
I recently did Winter Soldier versus Red Hood. And I was talking about, some of the technology Winter Soldier had, and that's a big moment. Like obviously that's not some little shit. Like if you pull that out in battle, you're killing most people.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Like you can't view it like a taser. Like there's things you could have done. Be like, well, it just needs to be explained. Like what kind of special tech is this that can do a thing like that, so that it's consistent across books. Um, but I mean, look, comics come out fast, and every book on the shelf, man, you would be shocked at just how close most books come to deadline. Like every book on the shelf, every single one is like one migraine away from not existing. It's just it's tight. Like every month is tight. Like everyone's just trying to do their best work as fast as they can, and stuff gets missed. It's just real life, and it's that way in newspapers and magazines and any kind of like periodical publishing. Everyone is trying to do their best work as fast as they can constantly. It's crazy. It's crazy. Just seeing behind the scenes on any kind of, even like I got to be a fly in the wall in New York Times a few times, and same thing. Everyone's trying to do their best work super fast. It's just it's just the nature of it. Um, anyway, there's something else. Shit, what were we talking about before that though? Okay. So, something I want to say regarding the power, like something I've seen in the Hulk community is like kind of an obsession with power levels.
Yeah,
Like how
it's
powerful is this Hulk compared to this, compared to this, compared to this? Like who's stronger? Like, well, I mean, it's such a, I mean, fuck, man. Like you can ask the same question of various like MMA fighters or
well,
even powerlifters who
yeah.
who have different strengths. Like, what do you mean who's stronger? Like, that's such a vague term.
I had
But
actually texted you that because it was so a lot of my arguments with like comment sections and stuff on my videos when I give my takes on power scaling is oh, this author said this author said that. And I specifically I DM'd you. I was like, dude, like we're friends and all, but I also don't like I assess and analyze your material. Your
sure,
outside statements they supplement, but they don't like for example, if you say Hulk, like if you write and draw Hulk winning a fight because he's stronger, and then you tweet something later saying Hulk won because um he believed in a certain political party, we'd be like, what the fuck? That's not shown in the comic. Like I can just ignore that. And a
right,
lot of people don't get that. Like if the material shows something, it's up to us at that point. Like you can give your opinion on I think my Hulk is stronger than this version that was written by this guy. But at the end of the day, just how I just revealed your Hulk got tased somewhere else. Like
yeah,
other people write shit, so like
sure,
I can analyze it just as much as you can. I don't think
yeah,
people appreciate
totally.
that enough.
That's 100% true. Like I mean, I have greatest respect for Grant Morrison's writing on Superman. Grant and okay, so actually, sorry, Batman is what I meant. So obviously, I meant what I said about Superman, but Grant said something about Batman that I firmly disagree with. Grant said that he believes that all those different periods in Batman's history, with like Batman '66 was all the crazy campy shit, and the stuff and the Neil Adams time and the stuff like Batman Damned and everything, like everything's going on now. Like he thinks it's all, to him it's all one timeline. And Batman, this is all stuff that happened in the same timeline with the same characters. That's how Grant chooses to perceive this. That's not how I perceive it. I mean, Grant is a much more prominent writer than me and has kind of done it all. Um, but I'm still I'm still allowed my opinion. But what I was going to say about the power stuff, like some people kind of came on me in line, super pissed that having read the back matter of issue 28, that seems to suggest that Mother of Horrors is more like quote unquote powerful than the one above all.
No, it doesn't. Oh,
And
are
that's
they trying to take it that way?
somebody was really offended that the Mother of Horrors would have
Hey,
the ability to see.
John Jones broke his toe beating the shit out of Chael Sonnen. It doesn't.
There you go.
It doesn't mean
That's
Chael
right.
is as strong as him. That's
That's
his.
right.
that's how I did drop an immediate reaction to that comic, and that was my take. Like, that's kind of expected because I had predicted something like that would happen. That's why I said, she could be as high as number 3 because she did something strong enough to predicate Oba ensuring she stays locked up. Like, you
Well, here's the
clearly
thing.
showed it within Kaido's story.
The I can't say exactly what happens because it's going to get revealed in issue 29. Like we'll see the rest of that fight in the back matter of 29.
Oh
Um,
yeah, hell yeah.
but I'll say this though: if you remember the origin of the Mother of Horrors is that she is the one thing, presumably, as far as we know, as far as the information that we get from this Hulk run to nowhere
Yeah.
else,
Yeah.
the one above all is the thing that created all creation, except the Mother of Horrors, who sprang into being from her own will alone and not because someone else made her. Okay.
Yep.
That that doesn't mean that she is more or less powerful. She is just made of a separate thing. Like she is not made of the same shit. So
Yeah.
it's like imagine like there's a if we're talking about power levels, you're comparing all these different characters and beings that are all
That's
made of
like
water.
even
And
that's
then hold on,
even
hold
like
on. So it's
Marvel.
like
Yeah.
everyone's made. So imagine everyone like you've got like 10 kaiju all made of some form of water, and then one more enters the ring, and this one's made of oil. That's a truer analogy. It's not that she is more or less powerful than anything else, it's that she is made of something completely different and that cannot relate to the rest of creation. She is the thing that corrupts other things, that creates things that do not belong. So that's kind of the truest thing. It's not that she didn't prove that she's more powerful by piercing the one above all's flesh. She's just made of this separate thing that he couldn't defend. If
Yeah.
that makes
Yeah.
sense.
That's how I interpreted it. There's always going to be people trying to stretch things for power purposes online, but
Hmm.
that was my take. That it just a wound doesn't mean you're stronger for obvious. Like I
Yeah,
gave the Chael
exactly.
Son and John Jones example, but I
And
wanna
as
I
far
wanna
as sorry, go ahead.
nah because I'm gonna go ahead and
Well,
finish your thought because we're gonna go to
well,
Hell
you
Hunters
were
after this.
you were oh cool. Yeah, you were asking about the timeline regarding the breaking of Udru, Brother Deep, versus
Yes.
the emergence of the one below all. Um, there are a couple of different ways you could take that. Again, I these are all vague Old Testament interpretations of things that are beyond our capacity to understand or perceive. But there are a couple of different ways you could take it. You could take that to be like the rage that so like when he was pierced by the Mother of Horrors, Venruvial, um, he was just filled with fury that it was possible. Like that fury took the shape, like the blood that came from him became was itself his rage. Okay,
Yeah.
so it there's one version in which that happens, and then the events of issue 29 happen, which I should not spoil here, and then the events of Brother Deep and all that happens soon thereafter, where like he
Oh
becomes
yeah.
the one below all. The stuff in issue 29 happens, and then later he becomes himself again. But that rage is always in there, just kind of brewing.
That's
And
what I figured. Yeah, that's what I was like. I think it's gonna go with. It was always there,
yeah, that
and then
is
it
that is
shows.
one perception you could take. Another interpretation you could take is the thing with Udru happened first, and that the green eyes that they saw, that was like his rage that was already like even though he's supposedly this golden god that is incorruptible and all that, he always had that rage kind of boiling beneath the surface. And when Venruvial pierced him, that rage finally took physical form and just overwhelmed him and became the other thing. So there's different ways you could
Gotcha.
perceive it.
Yeah, yeah. It's
I
biblical in
kind
that
of
sense. That
like,
makes
yeah,
sense.
exactly.
Yeah.
I like keeping it a little bit like Elden Ring. That's kind of how I imagine this stuff. I have my own opinions about the events that took place that have not been explained outright in the game. And I think think the mystery of it is elegant, and I like that. If all the information is kind of there, but there's just a few pieces missing, and like there's some different things that all kind of fit but not quite, and it just makes people theorize and come up with these really awesome behind the scene kind of lore ideas themselves. And I think that's kind of beautiful. So I don't want to decisively say here's what happened and here's why it all works.
No, it makes sense. Like that's just how it's designed. That's and to be honest, that's what helps channels like mine. I get to talk about those theories, talk about what we potentially may think these stories mean. And I want to segue into my probably my favorite story you've done, which is Hell Hunters.
Oh, nice.
So there's a couple characters that obviously tie back to Hulk. In terms of like we've seen them interact from the Hell Hunter squad with Sal Romero's Ghost Hunter or Ghost Rider rather. And I wanted to ask, so there's a couple instances where it's kind of implied Zarathos. So does Zarathos have beef with Mother of Horrors? Or would that just be like a natural disdain? Or is there anything there? Just curious. Because in the Hulk run, he straight up was like, "Oh yeah, I ignore her when she calls." Like
sorry, where did that happen? Say it again.
so in your Hulk run,
Yeah.
Ghost Rider at one point said, "Yeah, there's the call for the monsters."
Oh,
But he
that was coming. That was coming from Eldest, not from the Mother of Horrors.
yeah, sorry. The call from
right.
Eldest or whatever. Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
like
that
the whole like Ghost Rider 44. Yeah, well, okay. Zarathos is himself kind of a like he just has this. He's kind of based around the concept of rebellion, right? Like he's just kind of a. I don't know. I feel like he has this inherent fuck you to his down like in his bones.
absolutely. And a lot of times
So,
we don't get to see him. You're one of the few writers that straight up showed him at the end of the run.
yeah, it was really fun. Yeah, I mean, technically, Zarathos is kind of small potatoes compared to the Mother of Horrors, and in theory, even compared to Eldest. But again, it's like there's kind of they have authority over different kind of spaces.
Okay.
Um,
I
but
gotta ask. So Bucky, little young Bucky.
yeah, yeah,
I felt like you were. So he's my favorite character from that run, honestly.
oh,
Because I
thanks.
felt like you took his character to a dark place that I don't think a lot of writers would be comfortable with, given he's young at the moment.
Yeah.
What? So like, why did you take him that way? I loved it because I think it reflected what he was going through more than anything else.
Well,
And it
that's the reason, 100%. Like I really love how I don't know, man. I just love that. I love that character. I mean, it was really cool the way that Brubaker did it in his Cap run, and how he kind of suggested that he was actually a little older than we thought, and I that's all fine, but that was what he needed for that particular take. Um, and this is I feel like this is the truer version. You know, like Bucky was always meant to be kind of the Robin to Cap's Batman, like the kid that was like the intended audience for that book at the time. And seeing a kid in war, we just don't often see. I don't know. There's not been a lot of stories that left me satisfied with how they treated that idea. They just kind of don't question it. I mean, if you're talking war, there he's gunning down people. He's gunning down human beings left and right. He's presumably using hand to hand combat as well. He's just a fucking murder machine, and he's a teenager. And like, what does that look like? And I wanted to actually show in a kind of a fun context, not a really hold your face to the fire, just really accept what we've done here. It's still got to be fun. But
yeah, I think it actually made it because of the tone. In a funny way, it kind of made it that much more jarring
yeah,
because he's
right,
to him that's something he's doing like every other Tuesday. It's like you just took his Game Boy. And
exactly. Yeah,
it's
when
literally,
he's like
yeah, he's like, "Where's my
complaining,
ears?
sulking
He took my
because
ears."
dumb took his ears, and he was so pissed about it. Yeah,
Dude, and it's
yeah.
crazy because he's so young. I was like, "Oh, is he singing like a little sing song, like a little, a little rhyme?" And then it's literally
Yeah,
ears. I'm like, "Oh shit! Like this is a dark
right.
Bucky."
Man, I did get a lot of pushback in that issue, in house at like they tried to take away the ears thing. They tried to take my fucking ears. Like they didn't want me to use it in the comic, and I was like, nope, the ears got to stay. That's really
I
important.
think
That was
that's what it stresses like genuinely like how morbid that war is. Like that's just what it is. You can't
yeah.
you don't really. That's like saying in the Punisher stories you can't really show the shit he dealt with in Vietnam. Like that takes away kind of what makes it great. In
People
terms of
were
like
yeah,
jarring.
people were not upset, but they were like there was some pearl clutching that happened in the office, and they were saying like did they do like I can't remember if they actually just complained that they were talking about taking like human trophies and all that, or if they claimed that that didn't happen or something. I can't remember if they. I don't think they actually claimed it didn't happen, but they were like they're not comfortable with it. I'm like, look, this is such a huge like this happened all over the war. I sent photos. I sent photos into the office. Like look, these were published in the paper back then.
But
Like
there's
this is
laws passed because of trophies taken.
yeah. There was a I've got there's a photo of a U.S. soldier during World War II smoking next to the desiccated head of a Japanese soldier, like putting a cigarette up to his mouth or whatever. It's like just playing around for a photo, you know. So I don't know. I don't know. I just really wanted that scene, and eventually they let me have it. But what they did not budge on, because okay, if I had actually tried to show them the ears, they would have said no. But
Yeah.
they let me keep the dialogue. But then one thing they did not budge on, which is hilarious, is the smoking, because that in that same issue,
Yeah,
um,
he was like, give me the. He was like, can I light up?
yeah, he was like yeah. So the let's see, who was it? Peggy, Nick, and I guess
Logan was there.
yeah. Well, yeah, Peggy, Nick, and Zardos though were in the meeting with the Colonel, and Logan and Sal were just like out, you know, napping back there, and then and that's when Sal bumps into Bucky. He's like, "Holy shit, you're real! I thought you were just like I thought that was just for the
Yeah,
newsreels."
propaganda.
Yeah, and he's like excited. He's like, "Dude, we got to take this kid with us. He's awesome. Like I've seen him do crazy stuff." And Logan knows him. He's like, "Yeah, he's good. We should take him." And Nick's like, "Nope, we're not taking that kid." And Zardos is horrified. Like they're not up for it. When Nick finally says like, when they're trying to talk Nick into it, he's like, "Come on, Nick, let me bum a cigarette too." And originally that was supposed to be like Logan kind of chuckles, and Nick pulls out a cigarette from his pocket. Like they had to change the art. In the original art, he reaches into his pocket and kind of smirks and pulls out a pack of cigarettes, and he hands a cigarette to Bucky, and he says, "Don't tell Cap." And
Mm.
Bucky's like he's reaching out for it, kind of smirking, like, "Yeah, I got one." They made me take that out, and they did not budge on that. I was like, I'm not. They've got a hard rule about no smoking in a comic, and I totally understand why, and they're probably right, but I wanted it in this book.
Wow,
Um,
that's a yeah. That I mean, that's something interesting. A lot of people probably wouldn't guess in terms of like
yeah,
where they
you
draw the
know,
line.
actually, the cover was there too. Like in the original Bucky cover, when he's got the big, um, you know, house or whatever it is on the cover. He's like he just mowed down a bunch of Nazis. He's just like he was supposed to be smoking on that cover, and I should have known better, I guess, but I asked for it because I just wanted it. And they caught it and they're like, nope, can't smoke. And so they changed it to bubble gum, which actually worked better probably. Um,
Wow.
but anyway,
All right,
yeah.
all right, all right. So, final thing with Hell Hunters, if you could, I thought each of the members of the group was so well done that it had me wondering if you could solo run any of those
Uh,
characters from that group. Who would you if you could only do one? Who would you going with?
dude, oh my God, that's a that's a
I would if it was
hard
my
decision.
vote, I would say I loved your take on Bucky to the point that it would be sick to see you do a young Bucky solo run.
Uh,
Just the shit he was up to in that time period. Um, that would be
mm,
that or a Sal story.
yeah, man. Okay. In the context of the team, my favorite character on the team is Bucky. But if we were talking about a solo run, I feel like he is best served as a companion to another character. I feel like it needs to be like a buddy cop kind of story.
Yeah, that's fair.
Um, I would love to see a story with Nick and Bucky together. But if we're talking the solo run, I would say either Logan or Sal.
I love Sal. Sal's been I've been interested in him since he debuted. I was glad we got this story with him.
Yeah,
Um
thanks. We're gonna do more Hellhunters too, by the way. Like it's not
Excellent.
greenlit or anything. Like I got to get it over the plate, but I'm fucking gonna because I love that book, and that book is a passion project for me. We're
Yeah,
definitely gonna.
I got I'll send it to you. It'll be out within like 3 or 4 days, but I have the Hell Hunters movie on my channel coming out.
Oh,
Cuz
awesome,
like
man! I
I
cannot
said,
wait to see that.
yeah, cuz I was like as soon as that Bucky moment happened, I'm glad they didn't take that shit out cuz I was like, "Oh yeah, this might be my favorite run he's done cuz he captured it's like it was to me along the same lines of the infamous Punisher Max moment when Castle caught his men doing crazy shit, and
Uh huh.
then one of the natives watched Castle execute one of his guys at the pond. It was
Hmm.
like that level of reality of what they're actually dealing with because we can have humor, we can have our comic book moments, but at the end of the day, the character growth in just one moment of showing what they're actually dealing with, it just
Yeah.
enhances the story so much. Like that just single handedly, but that was one of the most powerful even if it's supposed to be in the context of the moment like a tongue-in-cheek moment, it's one of the most powerful Bucky moments we've ever had just because you're like,
Ah, dude,
dude,
thanks.
this little kid's collecting ears because how else do you cope with he
Yeah.
literally I think he told either Nick or someone else he's like I've literally killed more Nazis than you and I'm 15. Like I can't you can't court martial
Right.
me. I can't enlist. Like it's just like
Exactly. I
it's
love that idea. I love that he's not even he doesn't even answer the colonel because he's not even enlisted. He's just like they got this kid out there, and it's like it doesn't make any sense, but he's there. Like
dude,
it's I don't know. I just love that. I love it, and
it's
I
living
love showing
propaganda.
him. I love seeing him doing all the crazy, like horrifically violent stuff as everyone else, but he's in the same emotional place as any other 15-year-old. So he's still kind of sulking and getting really like up, like he'll fly off the handle the way the kid does. Like it's like I hate my dad, or he'll like start crying. But instead of crying about his dad, taking away his favorite whatever, finding a cigarette and getting mad, or like finding it, taking away his comic book, and he cries because of that. He's crying because he lost his human trophies, or because like later he's trying to like take a piece of a head off of a Nazi, off of that big that cosmic horror thing they're killing,
Yeah.
and he's trying to take a chunk of head off of that guy, and Nick's like, come on, Buck, we talked about this, and he's like, geez Louise, I can't smoke, I can't take heads, like you're like an old lady anymore.
Oh
Like
yeah, yeah, yeah. And I thought what was funny about that too is like when he's riding, he's like, "Hey, Sal, do you need a gunman?" Like he's trying to get in the mix, and I forgot who it was, but they're like, "Man, like if this kid dies out here, like dig your own grave, like you cooked
yeah,
yourself doing this shit," and
yeah,
it's
Zardo, yeah, the soldier supreme's Zardos is the
yeah,
one,
and
he's the one who's
it's
like, you
so
guys don't know the price.
it's so funny that like it's not supposed to be funny, but it kind of is. This kid's been out here collecting ears, but we draw the line at like this fight. This kid should have died, say like a year ago.
Yeah,
We should have not been doing what we've been doing with this child for a long time. We like playing the moral card right then.
exactly, yeah,
It doesn't.
I really, probably my favorite part of the run is the end of issue 3. I mean, I do like that scene with Bucky earlier too, but in issue 3, when he's at the very end, and they're walking through this like this bombed out town, and Bucky's like, man, I hate when it gets quiet like this. This is always when the crowds come out, and somebody's like, sing a song or something. Then he's like, I don't know any songs. And Peggy's like, what do you mean you don't know any songs? Like none of your buddies had a radio or nothing? And he's like, no, I mean, I could sing one of the cadence calls that they make us run to. I mean, but those are like literally the only melodies he knows. He doesn't know music at all because he's just been out here in the freaking in the in the trenches. Um, and I don't know. I just love that. I love it. And see, so then he's mowing down Nazis after that and kind of giggling like a kid would, and he starts singing. But he's just singing these army cadence calls that they run to in the morning. And that's all he's got. It helps illustrate how kind of broken he is and how broken we are for letting this happen. And I don't know. It's just like another. It's a fun but but jarring look at war, you know,
Is it
and what
hard
we
with
what we
a
expect of
group
ourselves.
like that? With like, so each narratively, like up to that point, to the build up of the last fight, every character mattered in terms of like you were personally giving care to even the side characters and whatnot. And then there's an obvious at one point, like, all right, we're about to fight some wild shit. Bucky's obviously not a sorcerer supreme. So like when you're writing, well, and you addressed it perfectly, like with how they went into battle and how Supreme and them protected everybody. But is that something you got to keep in mind when you're like, man, I love all these characters, but obviously when we fight certain shit, we gotta put certain things in place if we want A and B to exist on this battlefield. Like, how hard's that dynamic?
Yeah, you've got to figure out a way to make everyone relevant in a fight. Like there was a very early, the last one to join the team, as I was writing it, was Zardos. I had to figure out how, because and the reason was that Ghost Rider was so much more powerful than everything else, than everyone else on the team. And I mean, we could, of course, I was planning on doing the thing towards the end where Zarathos empowers everyone, and they all have like, he kind of reveals that they all have this inherent power that's like kind of waiting for them across all timelines. Like this is, they have have a destiny. He's able to kind of tie into their destiny, their fate, and like weaponize it, and it brings them these weapons that they will someday have. Um, but up until then, the only one with powers really, because I mean Logan, because of all the continuity fuckery, Logan doesn't know he has claws right now. Um, so nobody has powers except for Ghost Rider to speak of. And bringing in Zardos was a way to kind of even the playing field and make it a little more, make everyone a little more useful. But even that aside, whenever there's a fight, you have to figure out what role everyone's going to play and make sure that nobody is like going to waste or nobody else is carrying the whole team. There just has to be like a kind of a, you got to figure out the dynamic and the events that make everyone important. Um, Visually important, but also you've got to be true to they all have a character arc as well. You have to see like what do we learn about these characters during this fight? Like how does this get them, you know, where they started as people and where they end up as people, how does this get them further along that track? You know, there's a lot of different things to kind of consider over a course of like serial storytelling where you're putting out a story in these little chapters.
Yeah, and I'm a Howling Commando truther anyway, because I'm a Ben Grimm guy, and he served with them for a while. So
Right? Yeah.
I was always big on them. I was big into Punisher Max back in the day,
Uh,
and just all those stories. So seeing that get blended in, was really fun. And I wanted, so we're about to get you out of here. Like I said, we have about an hour of your time. I wanted to say, I believe you still have the statue fundraiser going on, right?
yeah, we do.
Yes, so we're gonna pin that in the video. And everybody, if you want to go support, please go support for coming on the channel. Make sure to go. Basically, it's a fundraiser to build a Superman statue. So if you love
Yeah.
Superman, which is one of the most popular characters on my channel, go show love and support this movement. I believe if you hit a certain amount, you actually get a copy of one of PKJ's works. We're also
Well,
going to be.
we'll sort it out. I had a certain number of omnibuses. I gave away a few. I basically not raffled off, but so the Superman omnibus that just came out is $125 volume.
Mhm.
And at the time I said if you donate, if you show me send me a receipt of you donating more than that number to the statue, I'll send you a signed omnibus. But I'm actually out of those books.
Okay,
Um,
well, that shit was
but
popular, so.
yeah, like look, for those who don't know, they just recently erected a Superman statue in front of the convention center in Cleveland, the birthplace of Superman, where Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster created Superman. The guy went ahead and did it. Like it's built, it's up, but the Siegel and Schuster Society like spearheaded that whole thing. They got it done. It is still not entirely paid for yet, so we're still doing fundraising to pay for the thing. Yeah, if you want to be a part of that, please do. And I tell you, I don't have any more omnibuses to give away, but if you do donate though, and if you see me at a convention or a signing or whatever, and if you if you want a comic, I'll give you something, or if you want some signatures for free, whatever, man, we'll work something out. I really appreciate you guys supporting that statue. It means a lot to all of us. Should have been there a long
Yeah,
time
and if
ago.
you
It's really awesome of the Sequel and Chester decided to get it done, and I want to help them out as much as I can.
we are also doing a giveaway coinciding with this interview, as well as you're about to literally conclude to one of your big Hulk run. We're gonna drop that big movie. So if you do donate, make sure to comment back here or hit me up in my community, and I will get you one of the many giveaway comics. So with that in mind, thank you so much for coming on the channel today, clarifying some of your works,
Yeah,
reviewing
of
some of
course.
your works. We're looking forward to Act 2 and 3. I know you said they're not nearly as long as Act 1 was. Are you allowed to say like how long the upcoming acts are,
I,
or
I probably shouldn't know.
okay, that's fine. Yeah, I don't know how that works.
It's not. I
The
mean, so if in the there are probably some screenwriters who heard me say Act One, and they're like, "Oh shit!" Because like in terms of screenwriting, a screenplay is usually like Act One is like 25% of the whole length of the thing, and then Act Two is like twice as long as that typically.
oh yeah,
So
it's just a word I was using, but
yeah, yeah. So
yeah.
it's not going to be yeah. No, so yeah, that's what I've been using. So I'm just telling people like, don't expect this to be like this is not going to be like a 12-year run or anything. But um, yeah, the next arc is tighter and it's still of good length, but I shouldn't say how long it is exactly. But I mean, I have a fixed number of issues for Act Two and also for Act Three. There is an Act Three that kind of concludes the whole thing,
Oh
and
yeah,
those
that, I
have
mean,
that number of issues.
at least we have an idea of like, yeah, this is how we're expecting this run. Because like when the first run first came, and it's funny, like in the first interview, you're like, they kind of are just telling me to keep writing for now, like I don't know when. So it's cool to see it go from this might at this point it might be infinite issues to, oh shit, we're about to actually get into an Act 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's going to be tracked on the channel. I'm excited to see it, and I wish you the best on all your upcoming work, man. I'm excited to see what you're going to continue to put out.
Thanks so much, man. You too. It's great to talk to you again. I look forward to hearing from your fans. I hope you guys, hope they get a lot out of it, and look forward to the next time.
All right, everybody, have a wonderful night, and we'll see you later. Peace.